we're gonna get straight into it. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat, guys. Listen, y'all know what it is. When I was at church, man, I knew I had a feeling notification was gonna go off on my phone, and sure enough, it did. The Los Angeles Clippers are trading James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second round pick. Sources tell ESPN, prolific swap. And here's the thing: before I even get into grading for either of the teams, we have known for about like a day that James Harden didn't want to be in Los Angeles anymore. Like, I remember the Clippers were horrible to start the season. And then recently they've been on the run. I think they're like 17-3 now. I think that's their like record like over the last 20 games or so. They've been on the run. They're probably making a push for a playing spot. I can't tell you their exact record, but I know they are much better than what they were at the start of the goddamn season. Now, James Harden comes out like I think it was like yesterday or something like that, and he's like, "Yo, I want to get traded. I don't want to be here no more. Like get me up out of here." And it was surprising. For me, at least, it was surprising because I'm like, yo, why would you want to leave? I mean, maybe it's because the Clippers aren't winning. You know, they're not very successful. You want to get out of there, which I can understand. But James Harden has like this long-ass playoff streak. And I'm sure he didn't want to put that in jeopardy, whatever. But it seems more like the more I'm reading and hearing, it seems like it was some stuff on the more executive side that was not going right, which is why this happens. And really, once the news broke that James Harden was requesting a trade, we immediately heard that the Clippers were in the advanced talks with the Cavs for the swap right here. And this is the exact trade we got. James Harden for Darius Garland, the second round pick. Now, there are like two ways we can break down the trade. First thing is, let's break it down from a team perspective. Let's go over the Cavs. Now, the Cavs actually have a pretty good lineup. You have James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Tyson, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, Dennis Schroeder, Keon Ellis, Lonzo Ball, Dean Wade, and maybe Max Strus. I'm not gonna lie, this is a nice little 10 man lineup. This is a very nice 9 to 10 man lineup. Now, if we're talking about strictly James Harden for Darius Garland, I'm not mad at it. The best ability is availability, right? And that's something that James Harden has. James Harden has traditionally throughout his entire career been an Iron Man. He doesn't really get injured often, and when he does, he's usually not injured for long. Darius Garland, on the other hand, throughout his first couple of seasons, oh my goodness, I cannot really name a whole lot of times that Darius Garland has been able to be out there on that for the Cleveland Cavaliers over the past couple of years, ever since they've been contending. And yes, we know how talented Darius Garland is. We know how great Darius Garland is as an individual player. But god damn it, if we can't see how great you are, why are you on the team? Like, you're always injured. Last year in the playoffs, they needed him. He was dealing with the hand thing, and when he was out there, he was ass, and he had to sit out. And it's like, bro, we rock with you. I rock with Darius Garland. He put up like 50 or something like that. But the best ability is availability, and if you are not available, that hurts you a lot. On top of the fact to where you can argue that even though Harden is like a 37-year-old, whatever, he's arguably better than Darius Garland. You could legitimately argue he is better than Darius Garland. And that kind of, in that sense, it helps the Cavs out. Here's where it doesn't help the Cavs out. When I look at this lineup, I think Keon Ellis being on this team does help them a lot. And Dennis Schroeder being a creator off the bench does help them a lot. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers have made some very nice moves. But James Harden, defensively, he still has those struggles. Donovan Mitchell's a decent defender, but he's not the best defender ever. So on the perimeter, I could see it getting spooky. Especially with James Harden also being a very ball-dominant player. Now, Donovan Mitchell is also somebody who, although he doesn't need the ball in his hand, I wouldn't classify him as ball dominant. Traditionally, like, he is a player, especially with the Cavs, who has had the ball in his hands a lot, and he works really well with the ball in his hands. So now you have a front court where I'm just intrigued to see how it's going to work. I hope it doesn't stagnate or anything like that, but I am very intrigued just to see what that offense is going to look like and how they are going to, like, put it together, right? And then you talk about the playoffs. I know I saw some people bring up the playoffs. Here's the thing, right? The best ability is availability. Darius Garland, we ain't even seen him in the playoffs. We've seen him a handful of times in the playoffs, and it's like people gonna talk about how James Harden is like a playoff choker. Well, luckily for him, he has like one of the greatest best playoff risers than Donovan Mitchell right next to him. So I think he'll be perfectly fine. And then he has a front court, which you could argue probably now I'm thinking about it, is probably the best front court of his entire career. Like if any Evan Mobley stock and Jared Allen stock should go through the roof. They're going to be phenomenal. I can guarantee it. So I think from the Cavs perspective, like this is a good trade. I think they made some really good trades at the deadline. But for me personally, I do think it at the end of the day it was between a Jared Allen or a Darius Garland. I don't think it was ever Evan Mobley that had to go or Donovan Mitchell. I think it was either Darius got to go or Jared Allen, and they traded him. They traded Darius. Darius was one that went, and you get James Harden, and you might get LeBron next year, right? So then, yeah, this is actually pretty funny. I did see this. If both were available tomorrow, bro, that would be absolutely hilarious. But I know that's not what's going to happen. But the next suggestion, oh my gosh, what? The other side I have to think about is the Clippers, right? From the Clippers' perspective, you get a Darius Garland, for James Harden. So how am I going to attack this, right? You get a younger player, right? And I don't know if that means that they are going to maybe go towards a rebuild, especially with this whole Kawhi thing, right? Because here's the thing with the Clippers. With the whole Kawhi thing and all this stuff going on, it's clear at this point that the Los Angeles Clippers are not. They're not contenders. Clearly, they're 23 and 26 this year. They are not contenders. They're not going to win the championship, and they're not even one of the teams that you talk about when talking about winning the championship. Despite Kawhi Leonard having the season of his life, and despite the Clippers being on such a run. If I'm like the Nuggets or the Thunder, I'm not looking, or the Rockets, I'm not looking at the Clippers as a legitimate threat to me and my success, personally. So, you bring Darius Garland in, and the only concern you have with Garland is like his health. Like you're just trying to figure out what like he is going to be like in the future. And you got it for a guy from James Harden who you probably had to re-sign, and he probably wasn't going to be there with the organization much longer. Only thing I worry about for the Clippers is like what's next. Like, what does this move signify? What are you guys going to do next? What is going to go on with the Clippers after this? That is kind of my whole little stance on it. What I'm trying to think about when it comes to the Clippers is like you have a Darius Garland who was actually I think currently injured, versus having a James Harden who was a big piece of your team, the big piece and reason why you guys have been so good over the last couple of weeks. What does Darius Garland do? You know what I'm saying? Now, the potential with Darius Garland in terms of a risk and reward thing is through the roof. Darius Garland, I mean, he's one of the best assets, young assets on the market that you can get. And the fact you got him for James Harden to pair up next to Kawhi Leonard is pretty nice. But he's just not going to have that same impact that James Harden has, bro. I'm telling you that right now. So for the Clippers, I'm just very curious to see where they go from this. I mean, where they go from this. I'm just curious to see their next steps. But, I mean, geez, at the end of the day, what a trade. What a trade. Second round pick, whatever. We don't really care about that. What a trade, man. That is a trade season, bro. I told y'all I'm on this all season, all trade, all week long, while the whole trade deadline is going on. And, yeah, man, this is another video. And see y'all later. Peace.